Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Superfan.
And this morning, Superfan sent me a text and told me about a garage sale, estate sale, however you want to put it,
It's
about
kind of
10
a
minutes
warehouse
away.
there.
Warehouse sale, there we go. Because, yeah, it was about 10 minutes away, and it was, in fact, a, a warehouse. It was like in an industrial area.
Mm-hmm.
And we went there. They said they had records, so we went and took a look. It was close, and we there was some stuff outside. We didn't see any records. This guy comes out of the warehouse and says, hello, and that's what we're looking for. And I said, well, we read that you had records. He said, oh, those are inside.
Yeah.
So we went inside this warehouse and we found something quite remarkable, actually.
And we didn't recognize it
Right away. I didn't recognize it right away. I just pulled it out and said, okay, maybe. And let's get to that in a moment. But let's first just talk about the experience. So we walked into this warehouse.
It was jam packed.
Jam packed with just stuff. And all I could figure is this guy must go around looking for stuff to sell, buys it at garage sales, brings it to this warehouse, sells out of this warehouse. And it was kind of musty smelling.
Yeah, it smelled like a litter box, a cat litter
Yeah,
box.
it really smelled bad. Yeah, we walked through this, and this just didn't bode well. I thought it didn't bode well, but let's go take a look. We've come this far, so he shows us where the records are. They're all lying flat in stacks, and it's a little cramped area. So I've got to squat down, pull these records, pull them in bunches so that I can flip through them. And at first, I'm just seeing what I call a lot of what we refer to as mom music.
Yeah.
Music our mothers would have listened to.
Yeah, it was a mom music collection initially.
Initially, yeah, but then suddenly, oh, this looks neat. Oh, this looks neat. There's some things we saw there. So it was very cramped. So what I would do is I would see a record that looked somewhat interesting. It looked interesting, and I'd pass it on to Superfan, who was standing behind me. She'd pull it out and look at it and just see, okay, is it just surface dust, or does it look really bad? And so we found a couple things here, but the last thing we're going to show you is the remarkable thing that we found.
And actually, in the grand scheme of things, it was the first thing you handed me.
It was the first thing I handed you. It was the first thing that I looked at and I thought, oh, okay, this might be neat. And I passed it on to you. And like I said, we'll get to that in a moment. But first, just real quick, it was cheap at least. At least it was all very cheap. But there was a chance because they, like I said, these were all lying flat with just records on top of them, and that's the worst way.
And there was what, maybe 200 records.
Yeah, worst way to store records. Yeah.
And he had stacks and stacks, like over 1,000 45s.
Yeah, and he wasn't even going to look at the 45s. Now, at least the 45s were upright.
No, they were flat.
Oh, they were flat too. Okay, I guess.
And, I mean, he had them in the sleeves.
Yeah.
But then he had stacks of them that were just loose.
Same thing with the records. There were some records that were just simply loose records. No sleeves, nothing. And normally when I'm handling other people's stuff, I'm careful, but I'm like, if he doesn't care how this is handled, I'm not going to care either. So if these loose records come flying out and whatever, I'm just not going to worry about it because he's clearly not worried. So we found a couple things, and surprisingly, what the things we found that were, I noticed that the records themselves, the jackets were solid. Normally
it's just normal wear.
I'm used to seeing really frail sleeves.
On a collection like that, yeah,
just really frail, really frail sleeves. And by the way, I have already, prior to shooting this, I already pulled each one out, looked at it. Superfan looked at them because I couldn't. I'm crouched down trying to see what's interesting. I'm handing them to her. She's pulling them out and looking at them. Some she's handing back and saying, these are terrible, don't. And I'm saying, okay. And I don't even question. It's like, if she's telling me it looks terrible, it looks terrible. Other ones, she's saying, okay, just a lot of debris, maybe little nicks here and there, which, we have bought records at yard sales that looked horrible, but they were so cheap. Just get it, see what happens. That played fine. There was a Carole King album that I mentioned in a previous video that was warped. It looked awful. I just cleaned it with a carbon fiber brush real good. Played perfectly fine. Even with the warp, it played fine. It sounded wonderful. I still play it. It was great. But yeah, so we looked at these, and for the most part, all of these played pretty well. They all played good. There was one that had a warp that played fine on one side, but the other side, it would never play. The warp kept pushing the needle back, and it just stayed that way. We're going to try and experiment with dewarping it just to see what happens. Just
we figure we've got nothing to lose.
We got nothing to lose at this point. But otherwise, they all played, fine. So the first Foreigner album, which I've never had, I figured, yeah, that's cool. This one, of course, I used to have on record when I was a teenager, and later got on CD. This one probably played the best of all of them, which I was glad for. This alone, would have made, the cost of admission worth it. Yeah, this one played perfectly fine. Styx album, Grand Illusion. They're one of their big famous albums. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair. This was still in the shrink wrap. This is the one
originally at Best Buy.
Yeah. Actually, no, there's a Music Plus price on it. Actually, your Plus price. Yeah, your Plus price right there.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got the year Plus
the
price.
The Asia one came from Best Buy.
Yeah, but this one here, this is the one that had the warp, and the side that did play played great, sounded great, even with the warp. But the other side, the needle just won't go. Like I said, we're gonna try and experiment and just see what happens. What the hell? This last one here, I don't like Asia. I'm not into Asia, but Robert likes them, and I thought if nothing else, I could just sell it. It plays fine too. I'm not into Asia though. This still has the original hype stickers on. Yeah, this does have a Best Buy sticker price on it here. But yeah, whenever this came out, this would have been around that time period. I think Asia was 80s. I think 1980s. Yeah. So those were the records, that we picked up. Just like, okay, we'll just try these out, see how I like them. But here was the one that was the first record. I was looking through these thinking, this is all mom music. I was about ready. I was about maybe the first third through what was there. And I was ready to say, let's just go. Let's forget about this. And then I saw this here. The Beach Boys, Surfin' Safari. The record didn't even have an inner sleeve. I put this on it. Like I said, I couldn't really inspect them, so just passed it on to Superfan. She looked at it and she said to me, the Beach Boy record, meaning the vinyl, is in horrible shape. She said, the record's not in good shape at all. So I'm like, okay, we'll put it back. She's like, no, buy it. And she said, look at the signatures. And I noticed there was writing, but I just figured it was just somebody writing on it. Because you see that in old records.
Yeah, you can hold it up there to the camera.
People write their names. In fact, someone did write their name on the upper corner here. I don't know who this is, but someone did write their name on the upper corner. But she looked at this here, and I'll show it to you here. I'll pull it out of this sleeve here, and I'll show it to you here.
Yeah, you want to take away the glare.
Exactly. If you look at this here, it says, thanks, Brian Wilson. And then it says Mike Love right here. This last signature here, the signature that's kind of faded, it's David Marks, who's here pictured on the back cover. And this back cover is in horrible shape too. But that faded one there, off in the corner here, is David Marks. Now, down here on a felt pen, it says thank you, and it says Denny.
Which we're thinking was Dennis Wilson.
Might be Dennis Wilson. Now, when Superfan looked at this, she's like thinking to herself, she's not talking to me about this. She's just saying, get it. There's some signatures on it. I'm like, okay. I haven't asked her whose signatures. I've just figured, okay, if she's saying
might be signed.
Yeah, she's saying it might be signed. So it may be signed. These may be authentic signatures. They may not. But while I'm looking at the rest of the records, Superfan is on her cell phone looking up comparison signatures by Mike Love and Brian Wilson. And she showed me afterwards, when we got home, she showed me the comparison signatures that she found online. And these look pretty authentic.
And we'll show you what we have, too.
These look pretty authentic. Once again, this one here, the David Marks one, is faded. But I guess if one of them had to be faded, if these are real, if one of them had to be faded, then David Marks is the one. But Mike Love and Brian Wilson look pretty solid. And, you know, we're not 100% sure, of course, that these are real, but they could be fakes. But we have to wonder, each handwriting is quite different. And especially the Mike Love one. Well, actually, both of them. We looked at the Brian Wilson one. We looked at the Mike Love signature, and they both looked very similar to their real signatures. You know, and
why would you do that?
Why would you sit there and try to carefully forge that? You know,
on an album this old, when the trade in autographs wasn't nearly
back then wasn't
what it is now.
But anyway, so we found these here, and
the Denny one, the marker, it doesn't look anything like his formal signature. Yeah, but he's not signing it. I don't feel like it was signed. I feel like he just wrote his name because he had a marker.
Yeah. Well, it says thank you, Denny. So maybe
which could also be personal, like a personal note.
It could be it could be having nothing to do with Dennis Wilson. But this this cover's in such bad shape here. I'm being very careful as I put it back in the sleeve here. Yeah, the record is really unplayable. I didn't even want to try to play it. I just looked at it and said, no, I'm not even going to try to play this. But this is intriguing about the signatures here. And I'm having some trouble getting this back in here.
Well, just do it later off camera.
Yeah, I'll just do it off camera.
But kind of a cool little find.
Yeah, we're intrigued by this. If anyone knows about this regarding the signatures, let us know.
And we'll take a better picture of it.
Yeah.
And insert it. But if for no other reason than the age of it, and the signatures have obviously been there for a long time.
Yeah.
The writing of the name of the person who owned the album originally, I feel like, it's just one of those things. Why would you fake it?
Yeah, why would you fake it and then write your name on it? I mean, and that same name is on the back here, which I've seen on lots of old records where people would write their names on a record. In fact, we were discussing why would people do that, and Superfan told me about how sometimes kids would take a record to a party,
or even to school.
So they'd write their name on it so that if anything happened, they could prove it was theirs because their name's on it with their handwriting. And I thought, oh, okay, I guess that's why people would do that. And some people it was just a thing of ownership. You just write your name on it. Look, it's mine. I own it.
My territory.
Yeah, my territory, that kind of thing. But yeah, Beach Boys Surfing Safari, jacket and record in terrible shape. But apparently we've got a signature by Mike Love and Brian Wilson. Potentially Dennis Wilson, maybe.
Who is very, very rare.
Yeah.
Because he passed away so young.
But yeah, and I don't think he ever signed his name Denny. But
well, I've heard him. We've heard Brian Wilson refer to him as Denny.
Oh, okay.
Which makes me wonder: was this a friend of his, somebody that he knew?
Yeah. Could have been someone that they knew. Yeah, and that's why it says Denny. But yeah, and then of course David Marks as well. So yeah. If anybody has any advice or thoughts on that, and they'd like to share it with us, let us know. But yeah, this would have been just kind of like, okay, a few nice things, didn't spend a whole lot of cash, but this, is quite remarkable. to have found.
Yeah.
In one of the most unlikeliest of places. So, but then I guess that's what happens. These things usually do get found in the most unlikeliest of places. Yeah. Anyways, that's all. Just thought we'd share that with you. If you know anything about this and would like to to tell us more, share any thoughts about it, just let us know. As always, if you like these videos, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And a big thank you and shout out to the patron supporters. Patron supporters receive exclusive weekly videos not available here on the channel. And we'll see you all in the next video, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Bye.